10 years ago today, Cloud Imperium Games convinced backers to drop millions on colored bubbles attached to a spaceship, and somehow still haven't figured out what those bubbles actually do. The Misky Endeavor stands tall as both monument and cautionary tale in Star Citizen's vast hangar of broken promises. Right now as we speak, there are folks staring at that same JPEG they bought a decade ago, wondering if they should have just put that money into a retirement account instead. Remember when you first saw those gorgeous concept images? That moment of pure, oh hell yes, when the Hope-class variant showed up in your feed. A mobile research station, space farming, cutting-edge medical facilities. Maybe you hesitated before hitting that add to cart button. Smart move if you did. That little voice saying, wait and see, wasn't being pessimistic. It was being prophetic. 10 years later, all those Endeavor owners are still waiting and seeing absolutely nothing. Let's break down why this magnificent space cucumber with science bubbles remains firmly in digital limbo, and why it might stay there well into the 2030s. The Miss Sea Endeavor isn't just any ship. It's basically Star Citizen's Swiss Army knife of science fiction fantasies. Picture a flying university that splits apart, with the front detaching to go run errands while the back half becomes your own personal space laboratory. Biodomes filled with exotic plants. A super collider for doing whatever super colliders do in space. Telescopes for discovering things nobody else can find. Problem is, CIG sold this dream without having the slightest clue how to build any of it. Not just the ship, the entire gameplay foundation it stands on. This goes beyond typical Star Citizen delays. The Endeavor isn't gathering dust because of pipeline issues or artist backlogs. It's abandoned because CIG painted themselves into a corner by promising systems they still can't define, let alone implement. While most ships have clear roles, the Endeavor promised entire careers that don't exist in any form, not even as crude placeholders in the current 4.3.2 build. The disconnect between promise and reality becomes painfully obvious when you actually read the original Endeavor sales material from 2014. Those agricultural modules weren't just for show. They promised custom crop breeding, supply-demand economics for your harvests, and specialized food production that would have tangible gameplay effects. The telescope array didn't just look pretty. It was supposed to discover temporary jump points that would reshape exploration strategies daily, giving Endeavor owners exclusive access to shortcuts and hidden resources. That super collider, it wasn't just a fancy word. It was supposed to let you craft components and modifications literally impossible to acquire any other way. And those medical bays were pitched as the pinnacle of healthcare, where players with the most grievous injuries would seek treatment that couldn't be provided elsewhere. Quick question while we're dissecting this science ship corpse together. Have you subscribed yet? No? Well, neither has the Endeavor to any actual development schedule. But unlike CIG's empty promises, hitting that subscribe button actually delivers something tangible, more unfiltered Star Citizen analysis that your Spectrum forum moderators don't want you to hear. Seriously though, each subscription helps keep these videos coming without requiring you to wait a decade for the next one. Unlike, well, let's get brutally honest about where Star Citizen stands in 4.3.2 versus what the Endeavor demands. The harsh truth? Basic gameplay systems that should underpin this ship don't even exist as concepts. Take a look at player transport. CIG openly admitted they won't have simple passenger missions until after 1.0. We're talking about fly person from A to B, the most fundamental transportation mechanic in any game. If they can't figure out how to make space taxis work after 12 years, what chance does experimental botany have? The current scanning system barely functions at 500 meters without glitching, yet the Endeavor promises deep space astronomical discoveries. When you've tried using the exploration mechanics in the current build, you know firsthand how primitive and limited they are. The Super Collider module assumes a crafting system complex enough to justify an entire specialized ship, yet we still don't have consistent item degradation. Components still pop in and out of existence rather than physically existing in ships. The medical system has been reduced to hold F and watch progress bar, a far cry from the complex diagnosis and treatment gameplay originally pitched. Each bubble attached to that ship represents years of development work on systems CIG hasn't even started conceptualizing, let alone building. Meanwhile, design decisions keep moving in directions that make the original Endeavor promises less and less feasible. You've had that conversation, haven't you? Maybe at CitizenCon, maybe in a game chat. You ran into another Endeavor owner, someone who went all in on the master set. $900, every module. They leaned forward, eyes bright, as they described their plans. We'll position near combat zones in Pyro, run triage operations with multiple medical teams. We'll coordinate with salvagers to split profits from the wrecks while we save the pilots. Their whole organization had built around this vision. Then came the medical gameplay reveal, simplified down to nearly nothing. You both watched in real time as years of planning evaporated. That awkward silence afterward. The forced smile. Well, maybe they'll expand on it later, but you both knew. That dream ship wasn't just delayed, it was dead on arrival. The systems it needed would never exist as promised. CIG has quietly reclassified the Endeavour as a post 1.0 ship, a diplomatic way of saying we have absolutely no idea when or if this will happen. No other concept ship has received this explicit demotion. Not the Banu Merchantman, not the Hull series, not even the massive Javelin. Only the Endeavour has been specifically pushed beyond the finish line before the race even started. That should fundamentally change how you view this ship. The Endeavour isn't a delayed vessel, it's a digital collectible with no release date. If you're holding one, you've got three options, none particularly appealing. Option 1, melt it and put those credits towards something that might actually fly someday. The Hull C has cargo mechanics to build on. The Merchantman has trading. The Orion has mining. These ships have existing foundations. Option 2, keep it, but strictly as a collector's item. Except that you've made what amounts to a very expensive donation toward theoretical research and development that might never materialize. Option 3, hold on to it and hope that somehow, years after 1.0, CIG circles back to implement entirely new gameplay systems just for this ship. For anyone who hasn't bought an Endeavour yet, don't. Just don't. Not until CIG demonstrates even the most basic science gameplay loops. There's speculative investing, and then there's setting money on fire. The Endeavour community has developed this darkly hilarious coping mechanism over the years. Jokes about Endeavour inheritance planning, memes about updating wills to pass their digital ships to children. My grandkids will love this when it's finally flight ready in 2045. Beneath that gallows humor lies genuine frustration. These weren't impulse purchases. Endeavour owners represent some of Star Citizen's most dedicated supporters. People who believed in the vision enough to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on it. Yet during each ship showcase, each development update, that early support goes unacknowledged. New concepts get announced while the Endeavour sits forgotten, creating this bizarre situation where the people who took the biggest financial leaps of faith feel completely abandoned by the project they helped fund. If you currently own an Endeavour, time for some practical advice that might save your sanity. First, check your insurance situation immediately. If you don't have LTI or at least 10-year coverage, you might want to address that through the upgrade system while you still can. We're potentially looking at a 2030-plus release date for this ship, if ever. Second, seriously evaluate your CCU options. The Polaris, Perseus, Odyssey all have clearer development paths and existing gameplay foundations. They're still speculative investments, but significantly less so than the Endeavour. Third, and this one's crucial for your enjoyment of Star Citizen, decouple your gameplay plans from this ship completely. If you're running a medical operation, build around Cutlass Reds and Apollos. For exploration, the 600 EI Explorer and Carrack exist now. For scientific research, well, there is no scientific research. That should tell you something. Plan your Star Citizen experience around what actually exists, not what was promised a decade ago. We've examined why the Endeavour remains stranded in development purgatory, what CIG's actual priorities look like, and how to protect both your investment and your enjoyment of the game. But this raises a much bigger question for the whole community. What other concept ships are secretly Vaporware? What other JPEG promises will never materialize? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which ship do you think is most likely to join the Endeavour in the maybe after 1.0, maybe never category? The Endeavour's 10-year anniversary isn't just about one ship. It's a case study in Star Citizen's fundamental development problem. The gap between imagination and implementation grows wider every year. The dreams get bigger while the foundation struggles to support what already exists. Until next time, fly whatever ships actually made it past the concept stage, manage those expectations like they're precious quantum fuel, and remember, in Star Citizen, the true endgame isn't gameplay at all. It's patience.